So now what we are given is that on this day we have a balance sheet even to begin with. This is called an opening balance sheet. Here the word opening balance sheet has its literal meaning, that when we started this accounting period, we had a balance sheet to begin with, which is given on the as a table on the case. So it says cash this much 12,000, and then office supplies of 5, then equipment of 27,000, and prepaid rent of 6,000. So just for convenience, we will also call it the entire amount in one head itself, that is prepaid rent. Otherwise, if somebody would have written 3,000 in one head, 3,000 in another, that also would have been an exactly perfectly correct way to deal with this. So loan is 20, and equity, it says Maria's equity. If you call it capital also, not at all a problem. Maria's equity $30,000. Okay. Now from here we will start the journal entries. So journal entries are for the transactions, and transactions are given in the next page. The first transaction, they say that clients have paid 40,000 for completed work. 2 clients still owed a total of 7,000 for work completed and delivered to them. That means you have done your responsibility and you are entitled to claim the money. How we would have entered this into journal entry? So let us do this. Basically, this is talking about sales. Some part of sales is credit sale and some part of sales is cash sales. How we would do it? Let's hear it from the class. कैसे करेंगे इसको? 40,000 is received in cash and 7,000 is outstanding. Okay, let's hear it.
So sir, 40,000 will be the cash in assets which we have got, and 7,000 we will put as accounts receivable in assets.
Okay, so cash, account receivable. So cash में add किया 40, account receivable में add किया 7,000. Okay, what else?
So retained earnings will also increase by 40.
Retained earning will also increase. Yes, by what amount?
40,000 and 7,000 respectively.
40,000 and 7,000. Okay, so let's call it 47,000. What else? Now you would have immediately noticed something, that where is the information about cost of goods sold? I told you earlier on that whenever sales happens, there may be 2 things that are happening. One is that your inventory is moving out, and one is that you are generating a revenue called sales. So here you have information and you have correctly put out for the part B of the transaction, that is the sales has happened. But what about the cost of goods sold?
Sir, in this case, they're providing services, so cost of goods will be basically the employee cost and the cost of IT assets, depreciation of IT assets.
Correct. On this point, actually, even though it may not be relevant right now, but on this point, I want to explain something. We can have 3 types of sales happening. Okay. One type of sale is purely a service. That means when you perform the sale, nothing is moving out of the business. That you just bill the customer and they pay. That's it. Sometimes you may consume certain supplies. For example, let us say you have let's say you have a consultancy services. So your employees went and then they give some globe, and that is it. They give some certain value add. So all of those consultancy aspirants, yeah, value add, yes, why not? And you bill the client. So some businesses may work where you are consuming some amount of supplies, but not in exactly inventory is moving out. For example, let's say you have a spa and you have provided the services. So maybe some certain consumable items would get consumed. And in some organizations only, that is primarily the retail and manufacturing organizations, wherein when you are making the sale, the inventory would be leaving the business. Now, in all of these 3, I have one complication that is coming to us very soon. that whether the inventory, if the inventory is not moving out at all, or if it is just some certain certain items are consumed, then things are simple. But even in those cases where the inventory is moving, there also, when you see the information of sales, they would simply mention the amount of sales. They would not at all mention the amount of cost of goods sold, even for manufacturing organization or retail. Just try to imagine. Let's say you operate one small kirana store, means a very simplistic business, that nothing complicated at all. Even for a small kirana store, when they are informing their sales, is it possible for them to keep a track of cost of goods sold every time a sale happens? Every 2 minutes, customers are coming with the trolley filled of goods, and then you are just moving it on your counter and you are quickly billing them. Imagine the nightmare it would become if you have a duty to match the cost of goods sold every time you are making a sales. Even with the computerized, forget about not computerized systems. I think they would completely collapse. But even with a computerized system, it is a very difficult task to do. If not impossible, it's time consuming at least. Now, if you do this much, then you would find yourself in a strange position that accounting or recording what you are doing has become more time consuming and tedious process than doing the business itself, which is counterproductive. So the businesses have a very small way out of this. What is that way out? The way out is as follows. They say that every time a sales happened, we would completely ignore cost of goods sold. It is there. We know that it is there. That when the chips packet are sold, when the atta packets are sold, or when the let's say cold drinks are sold, we know that inventory is moving out. But every time a sales is happening, we would ignore it. We would not record it every time the sale is happening. Then how would you record it? This is how you would record it. What you will do is that for the entire period in one go, let's say this is the entire period. This is 1st of January and this is 31st of December, and calendar year is your accounting period. Let's say some thousands of sales have happened. So when the sales were happening, you just kept on keeping a record of the sales bill. That is only the sale leg of the transaction. But costs you kept on ignoring every time. Then how are you recording for this? This is how you will record for this. You will apply a formula. You will write opening inventory, and you will add purchases to this amount. You will add purchases during this year. For example, let's say your only transaction is selling notebooks. Let's say you are selling ITC notebooks. When you started the period, you had, let's say, 5,000 notebooks, and each was at the price of 100 rupees. So you would have said that my opening inventory was 5 lakh rupees. Then in this year, let us say you purchase further 15,000 of notebooks at 100 rupees each. So you would say that my purchases, add to this, my purchases is 15 lakh rupees. Then you subtract or add any changes in inventory due to any other reason except for sale. For example, some goods lost due to fire, some notebooks are eaten by termites or anything, or somebody just donated to you for 50 fresh books, notebooks. So all those changes in inventory due to any other reason, due to any other reasons, other than that, and other than what? Other than sales. So you add or subtract here. Let us say of the notebooks that I had, let's say 1,000 got destroyed by fire. I will subtract that 1,000. So I will subtract 1 lakh worth of inventory. Now this amount is called goods available for sale. Goods available for sale. GAFS. You don't need to do it for every transaction, but can you do it once in the accounting period? That's not tricky at all. Then what you are going to do is that just you are going to go to your godown and find out that what am I left with? Closing inventory. What is your closing inventory, and subtract it. Let's say after this, you went to your, let's count it in the terms of units here and in terms of amounts here. Let's do this accounting in terms of unit. So in terms of unit, you had 5,000 notebooks, you purchased 15 more and 1,000 was lost due to some reason. So you are saying that you have 19,000 notebooks available for sale. You went to your godown and you found out that only 7,000 are lying down in the godown right now. Now, can you deduce how many notebooks would you have sold? Intuitive enough? You started with this, you purchased this much, due to some other reason you lost this much. So this is what you should have been you would have availability to sell. Now of that, you see that 7,000 are still lying in the godown. Now can you deduce how much have been sold? You just subtract this. Now you can deduce that 12,000 notebooks at 100 rupees must have been sold off. You do the same calculation in amount of in terms of amount of rupees, then you get an amount of cost of goods sold. So this is how you arrive at cost of goods sold. If you have a manufacturing firm or a retail firm, this is what you do for inventory. Even for those firms where you are using the consumables or items, even for the supplies, you can implement the same formula. That you count what you had in the beginning, what did you purchase. If there are any decay because of any other reason, this total should be available for sale. Now you just subtract what you are left with and difference is what you sold. So let us do this computation in terms of numbers. You have 20 lakh worth of inventory which was available. 1 lakh got lost because of the destruction due to fire. So 19 lakh was your goods available for sale. You went to your inventory and you found out only 7 lakh worth of inventory is left, and that's how you deduce that 12 lakh is goods cost of goods sold. Now for all of those sales that may have taken place during the period, let's say there were 14,900 sales. For all of those, you kept on recording the sales part of the transaction every time the transactions happened. But for the part B's of all of those transactions, for all of them taken together, you will just pass one entry with this amount. That would take care of cost of goods sold component in all of those transactions just in one go. Okay, I'll open it up for any questions, but before that, let me point it out that here there would have been certain complications if the prices would have changed. There is a dedicated chapter, unfortunately for you, that that is where we will deal with that possibility. But for the time being, let us ignore that possibility. In an online mode, from my last year's experience, I think that we may get time to do this, or we may not be able to do this in full-fledged, and maybe I have to rush this one up. So now we have learned a system using which we are going to record the fact that cost of goods sold may not be available every time the sale happens. So for that, when you do the transaction of sales, you will only do the sales leg, but you will remember that right now the cost of goods sold is missing, and later on we need to record for it. Okay, so let's do this. So now with this understanding, we will simply record the fact that some cash sales has happened and some credit sales has happened. Now remember from our previous discussion, right now we will go ahead with the assumption that we are 100% certain that this 7 lakh will come back to us. What would have happened if we were not certain? That we will see in, let's say, 2 or 3 classes from today. Okay.
So one small thing, can you go a little on the top? Yes. So is this 30,000 we have written, right? 30,000 in equities, Maria's equity.
Yeah.
And 20,000 you have written for loan. But isn't it that loan? She invested 30,000, 20,000 she took on loan and put it. So shouldn't be the equity 50,000 and loan is of herself. It's not a part of the business.
Good question. Good question. I want everybody to hear what he's asking. What he's saying is that there are these people, let's say Maria Hernandez business, then there is Maria Hernandez, and then there is her father. What he's asking is that who has taken this loan? is it not that Maria Hernandez has taken loan from her father and then she has invested it into the business? Or is it like the business itself has taken the loan? That's what he's asking. So he's saying that he's suggesting an alternative treatment, that treat it as if this is a personal loan of Maria Hernandez and the infusion of capital itself is 50 lakh. Everybody understood the doubt he is asking?
Yeah, because if we consider it as business.
That's okay. Let me hear a counter. Okay, anybody who would want to respond to this? Yeah, go ahead, Vipin.
सर जब उसने खोला था तो पहले अकाउंट में अपना पैसा डाला था, मतलब कि नया अकाउंट खोल के बिजनेस के हिसाब से उसने पैसा डाला था और फिर वही अकाउंट से उसने सीधे बैंक, मतलब कि वो बिजनेस वाले अकाउंट में उसने पैसा डाला, उसने अपने ट्रांसफर में अपने से ट्रांसफर करके उस बैंक में नहीं डाला है। बेसिकली ट्रांसफर सिर्फ कंपनी के उसमें हुआ है, कंपनी के बैंक बैलेंस में। तो इसलिए हम लोग
That is your okay, fair enough. So he is saying that let's go ahead. Let's go to the next one. Next one, it says, oh, we have not even done the journal entry for this one. So let's do the journal entry for this one. Remember, the point I was trying to drive is that here right now we are just dealing with the sale part. If there was any inventory in this one is a software based business, so that's why there is no inventory anyway. But if there was any other inventory, then do not forget to do a calculation of cost of goods sold later on. So let's do this. So we have cash coming in. So cash is an asset coming into the business, so that is why it is debited by 40 lakhs, sorry, $40,000. Account receivable is another asset which is coming in, so we are increasing that by 7,000. And you are creating a sales income. So sales income credit 47,000. This is the journal entry. In the beginning, if you are not really fluent with all those debit and credit rules, it is advisable that you just quickly write it inside of a paper. That when asset increases, reduces, when liability increases, reduces, when income increases or an expense increases, what are you going to call them? So you use your debit and credit for a reference. Okay, reference के लिए बगल में लिख लो, so that you can immediately see that this one is an asset increase, that is why it is debited. Okay, you will see soon enough that you will be habituated and you would remember all of this, so you don't need to refer to the formula every time. Let's go to the next one. Additional office supplies has been purchased for cash of 9,000, and office supplies and stationery had cost 4,200 were still on hand. Okay. Now they are saying that in the beginning you had certain office supplies, right? Office supplies you purchased something more for 900, and at the end you had 4,200 remaining. Now we have an evidence of, or rather an example of what I was trying to tell you just in the next transaction itself. Here basically what with these they are trying to tell us is two things. One is that some inventory has been, some office supplies have been purchased and some may have been consumed. The fact that they are saying that only 4,200 left is that you need to go and check that has anything been consumed. So let us go ahead and do it. First, let us do the transactions, recording the transactions for this fact that 900 worth of inventory has been purchased. Not inventory, they are calling it office supplies, so we'll also call it office supplies. So what is the journal entry for this? The journal entry is going to be office supplies debit and cash credit. So office supply is the asset which is going up and cash is the asset which is going down. So we will do it for $900. Any questions in this one? Number 2. Okay, let's do number 3, which is hidden here. Number 3, it says that you went and checked only $4,200 worth of office supplies is left. Now, can we find out office supplies consumed during the period? Consumption would have become what? Expense. So let's go ahead and calculate it. So let us use our formula. The formula is going to be opening minus plus purchase minus closing. This is going to give you cost of goods sold. In this case, cost of office supplies consumed. Office supplies consumed. So let us do this. How much did we start with? We started with 5,000 worth of inventory. Sorry, office supply, inventory of office supply. Further, we purchased 900 more. So if nothing else happened, we should see 5,900 worth of office supplies. But when we checked our go down, only 4,200 is remaining. That gives us what? This difference is consumption of office supplies. So 700, 1,700 is office supplies consumed. ये समझ आया? What did we do and why did we do it? We did it because closing inventory of office supplies is given. So we needed to match the opening and purchases with the closing to find out has anything been consumed. In this example, we find out that yes, 1,700 is missing. Our default assumption is that this 1,700 is because we have consumed office supplies. Question?
Sir, I have one question. Although by intuition we can say that materiality concept will not apply here, so we'll have to mention that we are assuming that we'll treat it as an asset and depreciate it over the time, because nowhere in the article it was mentioned that we can take we can assume it as to be an office expense or not.
Which one?
I mean, this office supplies, usually we take it as an expense and we don't depreciate it over the time.
Okay. What Mridul is asking is that could you have applied materiality to this particular item? I would say that the fact that they are saying that they are maintaining the opening and closing do not apply materiality. But in a lot of businesses, for example, let us say you have furniture business and you have a big furniture business. Then, and you need to buy nails for production. So if you have a very large scale business of furniture, then you may treat nails as a small insignificant amount, immaterial amount. So whenever you purchase nails, maybe some amount of nails are still lying in your godown, you show the entire thing as an expense. Why would you do it? Because you have materiality concept. He's asking that could you have implemented the same thing for this office supply purchase? I'm saying that you could have, but the fact that they are giving the opening and closing, that means that for them, this is not a small amount. They want to record that how much of office supplies have been purchased, how many are left, and what was consumed. That is the reason why they are maintaining the record of opening and closing.
Sir,
conceptually speaking,
yes, please go.
So conceptually speaking, both of the treatment would have been possible. First, you need to take an example of materiality. I would say that because the amount of sale itself is in this range, 900 is not that small amount. But what you would have done if, let us say, office supply purchase was $9, a very small amount, or $1.9, then could you have imagined the entire thing as an expense? The answer is yes. But looking at the fact that even in those cases they are maintaining opening and closing records, then I would have said that maybe for them, office supply, whatever they are purchasing, they want to have an exact record. That is why don't do this. So करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे भाई, कह क्या रहे हो? This is what I am saying. That if the example was silent, no opening closing details was mentioned, and simply they are mentioning that office supply worth rupees $1.9 was purchased. That means that don't worry about how much of that is left, how much of that is consumed. Straight away show the entire thing as an expense. Because compared to these amounts, 1.9 is a very minuscule amount for you. But if they are saying that $1.9 have been purchased, worth of office supplies has been purchased, and we are maintaining a record of opening and purchases and closing. In that same case, even though amount may look small, maybe for these guys, they want to maintain a clear-cut record. That is why they want to record this separately. So that is when you show them as this formula and find out only the difference amount as an expense. ठीक है, समझ आया? लाइफ में सॉल्यूशन मिलने से ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशंस बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. That is because a lot of things can happen in the business. You need to understand that these are subjective grounds. Materiality is a very highly subjective ground. When do you apply it? How do you apply it? In case of a written question in exam or written question in the book, when you are practicing it, you don't have the option to call the person and seek clarification. And what do you mean by this 1.9? Do you want to write, do you want me to write it separately, or you want me to treat the entire thing as an expense? Then they would have responded to you. Here you don't have such thing. So you need to just make a conceptual assumptions on their behalf. So there you just look at the evidences. If they point out to you in one direction, go ahead and do that. If not, if it is vague, then go ahead and assume whichever is convenient for you.
Sir, so this 1700 जो change आया in inventory, is that depreciation or is this any factor?
That is, see, depreciation का थोड़ा सा intuition different है. Depreciation would have been that, let's say you have a furniture. Furniture has a life of 5 years. Now furniture is still there, but its worth has fallen down, right? So what Rishikesh is asking is that for this, what is the heading you would call? Can you call it office supply expense, or would you call it office supply depreciation? What do you call it? My response to this question is that do not call it depreciation, because depreciation is used in those cases where the asset is still with you. Its worth has shrunk because you have used it for 1 year or one period. But in this case, this much worth of office supply is not there with you any longer. It is gone. So I would recommend that you use some other heading. For example, I would have used office supply expense debit, but I don't think I'm going to put you in jail if you would have written depreciation on office supplies. No, it's not that big a deal. Just write some expense. Okay. So once you conceptually understand the meaning of the terminology, highly likely you will end up using correct terminology. But right now I have the feeling that you are all emotionally stuck with terminologies. Terminologies are not at all important. हो सकता है आपने, for example, just a little while ago I told you that ideally if I were the accountant or the CFO of this firm, I would have said that treat the advance rent in a separate head and security deposit in separate head. That's what I would have suggested, because they have both different nature, but they have clubbed it. अब जाके Maria Hernandez और उसके accountant को जेल में डालो. The point being that a lot of things conceptually may make sense, but in practice, it is not very hard and fast. In different countries, in different accounting systems, in different companies, in different organizations, you will see some of the things are flexible that they would use. For example, account receivable is a good example. I have told you that use the word account receivable only when you have purchased inventory, and that too on credit. But you may see organizations which will include all sort of receivables within account receivable. Similarly, accounts this should have been accounts payable. Accounts payable, that when you purchase inventory and when you have not paid for it, use the word accounts payable. You may see certain businesses where all sort of payables are included in this. अब क्या करोगे उसको? Right? So if you deviate from the usage, the exact use of terminologies, it's not very big of a deal, because these things are only for the purpose of consistency as much as possible. But you will see that it is never going to be unanimous, that everybody is going to use the accounts payable in the same way across all the countries, across all the companies. No, it's not gonna. Okay? So give yourself that much of a breather कि आप वो उसी में फंसे रह गए और कॉन्सेप्ट निकल गया आगे. Give yourself, इधर कुछ भी डाल दो, not a problem. But only thing is that after you are done with this, you should have treated this as an expense to the business. That's good enough. अब उसको आप बोल क्या रहे हो, that is up to you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll stop here. ठीक है, we'll take it up from here tomorrow. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Bye.